Baba Vanga's 2025 final warning: these nations are in grave danger. There are times when the present moment feels strangely heavy, as if history is holding its breath, watching, waiting. In the midst of that silence, an old voice returns. It belongs to Baba Vanga, the blind mystic whose visions have shaken skeptics and believers alike. And now her final warning points directly to 2025, a year she seemed to foresee, one filled with global tension, shifting powers, and silent threats aimed at specific nations. But what exactly did she say? And why might some countries be standing on the edge of something catastrophic? Welcome to the Journey of Wisdom, where we explore not just the predictions, but the deeper meaning behind them. Before we uncover what Baba Vanga truly saw, take a moment to like this video, share it with others seeking clarity in chaotic times, and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom, because if her final prophecy is unfolding, understanding it might be more important now than ever. Number 1. About Prophet Baba Vanga. Let's begin by unlocking the deeper meaning behind Baba Vanga's chilling prophecy for the year 2025. But to understand the warning, we must first understand the woman herself. Born in 1911 in what is now North Macedonia, Baba Vanga's life was marked by mystery from the very start. A violent storm stole her physical sight during childhood, but in its place, she claimed to receive something far more powerful, a vision beyond the visible, a connection to unseen forces guiding the fate of humanity. Over the decades, her predictions would span the course of history, foretelling political upheavals, natural disasters, technological leaps, and even events beyond our world. Though she passed away in 1996, her words continue to echo through time, preserved by those who believed in her extraordinary gift. And among all her prophecies, one stands out with haunting intensity: the year 2025. She never listed names. Instead, she offered symbols and riddles. She spoke of devastating floods sweeping across the northern lands, of a silent, creeping danger emerging from the east, and of a great unraveling, economic, social, and spiritual, within powerful Western nations. These weren't just predictions, they were warnings etched in metaphor, omens of a world reaching its breaking point. Now, as we step into the year she foresaw, the question becomes unavoidable. Which nations stand at the edge of this prophecy? And are we prepared to face the consequences she tried so long ago to reveal? Number 2. The Northern Floods. Climate crisis in modern nations. Let's take a moment to talk about something both mysterious and deeply unsettling. Baba Vanga's warning about devastating floods in the Northern Hemisphere. This isn't just about strange prophecies or superstition. It's about connecting ancient intuition with modern science and reflecting on how her chilling message might speak directly to the world we're living in right now. Baba Vanga, the blind Bulgarian mystic who many claim predicted major global events, spoke of what she called the invisible water dragon that would awaken sometime in the mid-2020s. At first glance, that phrase may seem poetic or cryptic, but when we take a closer look at today's climate data, her words start to sound uncomfortably close to reality. She pointed specifically to massive floods hitting countries that have long felt secure. Modern, technologically advanced nations in the Northern Hemisphere that believed they were immune to nature's fury. But as we've seen, with growing climate instability, especially in recent years. Even the most prepared nations are being caught off guard. Let's talk about Europe. Northern Europe, to be exact. Countries like the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Germany, and parts of Scandinavia are not just facing heavier rainfalls. What's happening is far more dangerous beneath the surface. Scientists are now warning us that a major ocean current system called the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, or AMOC for short, is slowing down rapidly. This current acts like Earth's natural climate regulator. It keeps temperatures balanced, influences rainfall patterns, and helps maintain food production. But if it collapses, the consequences could be catastrophic. We're talking about entire coastal cities being swallowed by rising waters, winters becoming longer and more brutal, and agriculture suffering to the point where food security becomes a serious crisis. Could this be what Baba Vanga meant when she said, "The water will rise and no God will stop it"? Could the invisible water dragon be the melting polar ice caps and the resulting shift in ocean behavior? Think about this. How often do we take water for granted? We bathe in it, cook with it, travel across it, but we rarely stop to consider its true power. In Vanga's vision, water wasn't just a passive background force. It was an unstoppable presence, reclaiming land, drowning cities, and silencing entire regions. She warned that these changes wouldn't just be natural disasters, they would change the way people live, the way governments respond, and even the way societies interact with one another. As someone deeply interested in how ancient wisdom meets today's realities, I believe these messages aren't here to scare us, they're here to wake us up. If you live in Europe, or even across the Atlantic in coastal cities in North America, have you noticed the changes in weather patterns? Are your winters more intense? Are your summers shorter, more unpredictable? These aren't coincidences, they're signs. So the question becomes, what do we do with this information? Do we dismiss it as the ramblings of a mystic? Or do we use it as a mirror to reflect on our current environmental choices, our lifestyles, and our priorities? Baba Vanga's visions, whether you believe in them or not, have this haunting ability to align with what science is now confirming. Perhaps her final warning wasn't about fear, but about foresight. Maybe it's time we stopped asking whether these things will happen and started asking how prepared we really are if they do. What kind of world are we leaving behind for the next generation if we continue to ignore both ancient warnings and scientific evidence? Let this be more than just a story you hear and forget. Ask yourself, if the floods were to come tomorrow, what would you wish you had done today? Number 3. The Eastern Dragon. Let's now shift our focus toward the East, where an old prophecy stirs new questions. Baba Vanga's message about a silent threat rising in the East has puzzled many for decades. Some thought she spoke of war, others of economic conflict, but her words hold deeper weight. She warned not of loud battles, but of subtle domination. The dragon smiles, but its tail is long and coiled, she reportedly said. A poetic yet haunting image. Think about that for a moment. What does it mean when a power looks peaceful, yet holds the potential to bind and control from afar? In today's world, it isn't missiles or armies that shift the balance. It's control over information, technology, and systems we use every day without a second thought. China, often symbolized as the dragon in the East, has emerged not just as a global economic force, but as a master of influence through data, digital infrastructure, and financial dependency. Baba Vanga's prophecy seems less like mysticism and more like a mirror to our reality. Digital currencies, AI influence, facial recognition, and entire nations tied to networks they did not build. Could the invisible shackles she spoke of be the algorithms that shape our choices, or the surveillance tools now embedded in daily life? And what of the songs sung in languages never heard before? Could this refer to the new codes of AI, or perhaps even the spread of unfamiliar cultural norms shaped by powerful media and technology? As we look ahead to 2025, we must ask ourselves, are we growing stronger through global connection, or are we becoming quietly controlled without realizing it? This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. When you reflect on the systems you depend on, your phone, your apps, your economy, who really holds the key? What would Baba Vanga want us to learn from her warning? Perhaps the lesson is this: stay conscious, stay questioning, and stay free. The future doesn't belong to the loudest, but to those who see clearly through the silence. So, what do you think? Are we dancing with the dragon, or already wrapped in its tail? Still with us, that means you're not just curious, you're aware that something big is unfolding. Drop a "stay ready" in the comments to join others who refuse to be caught off guard. We're about to reveal the most alarming part of Baba Vanga's prophecy. Don't miss it. Number 4. The Western Collapse. As we turn our attention to the Western world, once viewed as the shining beacon of global stability and progress, we find ourselves standing at the edge of a deeper reckoning that goes beyond politics or economics. Baba Vanga, the mystic whose cryptic visions have fascinated many, foresaw a time when powerful nations would forget their names, a poetic yet unsettling way to describe a profound loss of identity. In her vision, a spiritual emptiness spreads across these lands like a thick fog, obscuring not only moral clarity, but the very foundations upon which societies once stood. In 2025, this warning seems to echo with eerie accuracy, particularly in places like the United States and Western Europe, where trust in institutions continues to unravel and polarization digs in deeper. We're no longer dealing with a single issue, but rather the cumulative weight of political division, civil unrest. Each as though society is looking into a cracked mirror. Each person sees something different, unable to agree on what's real, what's right, or even what matters. This fractured collective mindset, as Vanga hinted, creates fertile ground for shadows, not necessarily people, but moments of profound change or collapse. The loss of shared truth has led to a rising tide of misinformation, conspiracy theories, and deep suspicion toward the media and governance. These fractures in the social psyche are not minor. They erode the glue that holds democracies together. And here lies the heart of her warning. Not that destruction will come from an outside force, but that it will emerge from within, when people no longer trust each other, when values are traded for convenience, and when purpose is lost in the noise of division. We see hints of this already in the breakdown of civil discourse, the loneliness and isolation that seem to define modern life, and the way digital echo chambers deepen our differences. Economically, the storm clouds are gathering too. Debt continues to climb, the cost of living feels unbearable for many, and fears of recession are no longer distant. The housing market teeters under pressure, while everyday citizens struggle to afford the basics. Vanga's cryptic phrase, "Gold will lose its shine and paper will whisper lies," may point to a loss of faith in financial systems, currencies, and the illusions we've built our security upon. When money feels imaginary and trust disappears, what remains to hold society together? These are not just abstract prophecies. They are living conditions we see in our communities today. The lesson for us is not to despair, but to turn inward and reflect. When the outer world feels unstable, we must strengthen our inner foundations: kindness, compassion, shared responsibility. Whether we believe in prophecy or not, there is wisdom in using these warnings as reminders to rebuild connection, care for one another, and find meaning beyond material wealth. In doing so, we don't just resist collapse, we begin to heal. How are you nurturing trust and unity in your part of the world today? Number 5. The Fire Beneath the Sand, Middle Eastern Crossroads. Let's take a closer look at Baba Vanga's mysterious prophecy for 2025, specifically her reference to what she called the fire beneath the sand. This phrase, cryptic and powerful, has stirred many interpretations, and most believe she was pointing toward the Middle East. Her words carry a deeper layer when she mentioned a crescent watching from the sky, blessing and cursing in the same breath. These are not just poetic images, they're windows into a world at a crossroads, a place where fate, faith, and fire meet. Now think about it. In today's world, the Middle East stands on a delicate line between creation and chaos. It's a region with ancient roots and modern ambitions, rich in culture, history, and energy, but also marked by deep divisions, water scarcity, and intense geopolitical pressure. In 2025, this crossroads becomes even more significant. Countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and others may find themselves facing decisions that go far beyond politics. They may be choosing between survival and transformation. So what does it mean when Baba Vanga said, "The sands will choose between the old fire and the new dawn"? It's a powerful metaphor, one that suggests the choice between clinging to rigid traditions or opening the door to renewal and change. We all know that real transformation is never easy. Whether in our personal lives or across entire nations, letting go of what no longer serves us can be painful, but necessary. What if Baba Vanga wasn't warning of destruction, but describing a rebirth? Could it be that what looks like danger is actually the first spark of something better, something new? The phrase, "a crescent blessing and cursing in the same breath," may also reflect the dual nature of power, belief, and influence in this region. It reminds us that blessings can become burdens if they are misused, and even the greatest of resources can become points of conflict when unity is lost. As energy markets shift and the world moves toward sustainability, the Middle East finds itself at a strategic and symbolic tipping point. Will the region lead with vision and courage, or fall deeper into cycles of conflict and fear? This is not just a regional question. It affects the entire world. Just as oil once shaped the destiny of nations, so now does the region's role in spiritual, technological, and ecological evolution. Baba Vanga's prophecy pushes us to ask a more meaningful question. Are we focusing too much on what might collapse, and not enough on what might emerge from the ashes? In Buddhist philosophy, we speak of impermanence, how everything, no matter how strong or powerful, eventually changes. But change is not our enemy. When we meet it with awareness, it becomes our teacher. So let's reflect. What is the fire beneath your own sand? Are you resisting change in your own life that might actually be a doorway to something better? And when you look at conflict, whether in the world or within yourself, do you see only danger, or do you sense the potential for growth hidden underneath? Baba Vanga's message, though veiled in mystery, calls us to pay attention not just to the headlines, but to the deeper forces moving beneath the surface. In the end, the greatest prophecy is not about predicting doom. It's about recognizing the moment when we can choose a better path. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Transformation is not a punishment, but a process. Whether for nations or individuals, the fire that seems to threaten us may also be the flame that refines us. Let this message serve as a reminder to look beyond fear, to question what we believe is fixed, and to find strength in the possibility of renewal. How will you respond to the fire in your own life? With resistance or with readiness to rise? Thank you for watching today's video on Baba Vanga's 2025 final warning. It means a lot to have you here with us. If her predictions sparked any thoughts or emotions, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're new to the channel, just type "I am a seeker" in the comments. If you've been with us for a while, let us know by saying, "I stand aware." Your voice adds depth to this journey and helps keep our community strong and engaged. Let's keep uncovering these mysteries together. Advice for 2025. Walking through uncertainty with a peaceful heart. 2025 is not a year to fear. It's a year to wake up. As prophecies begin to echo in real time, and the world trembles with climate shifts, global tensions, and spiritual confusion, what matters most is not what's coming, but who you choose to become as it arrives. Here are 5 mindful pieces of advice for 2025, drawn from the timeless wisdom of the Buddha and inspired by Baba Vanga's final warnings. Number 1. Keep a steady mind in a changing world. In a time when change feels constant, whether it's global unrest, economic shifts, or personal transitions, the mind often becomes a battlefield of uncertainty, worry, and fear. Yet, it is precisely during these times that we must learn to hold still inside. Everything is impermanent, including fear. This isn't just a comforting thought, it's a deep truth at the heart of Buddhist teaching. The Buddha once said, "All conditioned things are impermanent." When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. When we truly understand that nothing lasts forever, not anxiety, not financial struggle, not even loneliness, we stop clinging so tightly to outcomes and start living with more grace. A steady mind does not mean we ignore the chaos outside, but that we build a refuge within, a place untouched by the shifting winds of the world. This begins with the simple act of breathing. When the world feels too loud, return to the breath. A deep breath taken consciously is a doorway back to presence. In that space, we begin to hear what we've drowned out in our rush to fix everything, the voice of quiet wisdom inside. As Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. Through breath and awareness, we train ourselves not to be pushed around by life's turbulence. Instead of resisting what we can't control or chasing what keeps slipping away, we soften. This doesn't mean we become passive. It means we become wise. Like the lotus that grows in muddy water, we learn that peace is not found in avoiding difficulty, but in rising through it with clarity and care. In today's modern life, where headlines change by the hour and certainty feels like a luxury, this wisdom becomes especially relevant. Technology, relationships, jobs, these all evolve and sometimes fall apart. So, let's train ourselves to respond, not react. Rather than letting the mind spin into panic when plans fall through or when news unsettles us, we can take refuge in a calmer space within. One helpful practice is to pause before responding, to step back mentally and notice your emotions without becoming them. That moment of awareness becomes your freedom. In this way, we slowly train our hearts not to fear change, but to work with it. We become like the still mountain amidst moving clouds. When the mind is calm, even storms become silent. We begin to see clearly, act wisely, and live with an open heart, unshaken by the waves. As the Dhammapada teaches, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. So, as we step into 2025, may we become guardians of our inner peace, not by trying to stop the world from changing, but by rooting ourselves in stillness while it does. Number 2, live simply, consume consciously. In the face of all the noise and pressure of 2025, where the world seems caught in a storm of overconsumption and environmental stress, there's a quiet, powerful truth waiting to be rediscovered. The less we cling to, the more space we create for peace. You're not alone if you feel overwhelmed by the constant push to do more, own more, and achieve more. But what if strength today doesn't come from gaining, but from releasing? Choosing to live simply is not a step backward. It's a return to balance. It's a conscious decision to say, this is enough. And in that choice, you begin to uncover a hidden kind of wealth, not found in your bank account, but in your heart. To live simply doesn't mean to live without joy or comfort. It means to live with clarity, with intention. When we pause before we buy, when we ask ourselves, do I really need this? We begin to shift from automatic habits to mindful living. And when we eat with awareness, honoring the food that nourishes us, we also honor the planet that gives it to us. Waste becomes less when we become more present. We're not just talking about decluttering our homes, we're talking about decluttering our minds. Every object we own, every commitment we make, every bite we eat, it all carries energy. The more we pile on, the heavier life feels. But simplicity lightens us. It helps us breathe easier, live slower, and connect deeper. In Buddhist thought, this is the essence of santuti, contentment. The Buddha once said, to know what is enough is to be rich. This doesn't mean settling for less in a negative way, but realizing that inner peace doesn't come from what we accumulate. It comes from being satisfied with what is already here. So I ask you, what would your life look like if you were free from the need to constantly want more? How much time, energy, and mental space would open up if you lived not out of impulse, but out of mindfulness? In a world that teaches us to chase more, choosing to consume less is a radical act of compassion, not just for yourself, but for all beings. Because when you buy less, you reduce the strain on resources. When you waste less, you show care for the earth. And when you eat mindfully, you show gratitude, not just for the food, but for the farmers, the rain, the sun, and the soil that made it possible. Conscious consumption is not about being perfect. It's about being awake. It's about making daily choices that reflect your values, not your fears. It's a way of saying, I will not live on autopilot. And when enough of us make this choice, the world shifts, bit by bit, toward healing. So let this be your gentle reminder as you walk through the uncertainties of this year. You don't need to fill every moment, every shelf, or every plate to feel full. Sometimes what you truly need is already with you, within you. Keep it simple. Trust that what is enough truly is. Let that truth guide you, especially when things feel unstable or unclear. The takeaway is this: living simply is not about sacrifice. It's about clarity. It's about honoring your needs without being ruled by your wants. In every mindful choice you make, you invite peace, reduce harm, and create space for what truly matters. And that, in the end, is how we walk through uncertain times with a peaceful heart. Number 3, reconnect with nature. This isn't just a casual suggestion. It's a call to return to something deeply sacred, something many of us have forgotten in the noise of our busy lives. In 2025, with so much uncertainty in the world, climate change, natural disasters, and environmental breakdown, many people are simply looking for safety. But true peace doesn't come only from sheltering yourself away. It comes from walking gently upon this earth, from recognizing that the earth is not a threat to be avoided, but a living teacher to be embraced. You see, the earth has always spoken to us, in the rustle of leaves, in the rhythm of the seasons, in the silence of the mountains. But lately, have we been listening? The Buddha taught that all things arise in dependence upon causes and conditions. When the air is polluted, when the rivers run dry, when the soil can no longer grow food, these are not punishments. They are responses, natural consequences of disconnection. When we see nature as something outside of ourselves, as a resource to exploit or a danger to fear, we create suffering not only for the planet, but for ourselves. But when we begin to care for nature as a part of our own body, as something sacred, as something we belong to, that's when healing begins. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you walked barefoot on the ground? When did you last feel the bark of a tree under your hand, or watch the sky change colors at dusk without looking at your phone? These small, simple acts are not just poetic, they are powerful. They remind us that we are part of a greater whole. Reconnecting with nature doesn't mean you have to move to a forest or grow all your own food. It begins with awareness. You can start by planting a single seed, even if it's in a pot on your balcony. You can choose to use less plastic, to honor your water, to thank the sun when it rises. These actions, though small, carry deep karmic weight. As a bee gathers nectar without harming the flower, said the Buddha, so too should a wise person live in this world. In times of uncertainty, people often look outward for control, but true peace begins with small inward shifts. Ask yourself, how can I show more reverence for the earth today? What would it mean to treat every drop of water, every patch of soil, as sacred? These are not just environmental questions, they are spiritual ones. Because when you begin to live in harmony with nature, your heart begins to mirror that harmony. You feel calmer, you breathe deeper, you begin to trust the rhythm of life again. I know the world can feel overwhelming right now, but nature has always been a place of refuge and renewal. It doesn't ask for perfection, just presence. So I invite you today not to wait until the next disaster to pay attention. Go outside, feel the wind, look at the sky, even if it's just for a moment, because in that moment, something begins to shift. You stop trying to control everything and start learning how to live with everything. That is the path of peace. And as the Zen master Dogen once said, if you cannot find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it? So, what truth is the earth showing you today? Are you willing to listen? Number 4. Build community, not just comfort. In times of uncertainty like 2025, when so much of the world feels unstable, whether it's the economy, the climate, or the way technology is rapidly changing our daily lives, it's natural to want comfort. We might find ourselves pulling inward, trying to protect what we have, closing our doors a little tighter, keeping our heads down, and focusing only on what makes us feel safe. But while personal comfort has its place, especially when life feels overwhelming, there is a deeper kind of resilience that doesn't come from isolation or self-preservation. It comes from connection. Real strength grows when we build community, not just comfort. When we choose to reach out rather than withdraw, in a world that often encourages independence to the point of disconnection, this is a gentle but powerful act of resistance. Right now, society is facing fractures, political divisions, generational misunderstandings, cultural gaps, and a growing sense of loneliness. These cracks in the human fabric don't just affect others, they affect all of us, quietly draining our sense of belonging and well-being. That's why it's more important than ever to create bonds with those around us, to listen deeply to others' stories without rushing to judgment, and to find ways to offer genuine support, even in small and consistent ways. Building community doesn't mean we need to become extroverts overnight or take on every cause. It starts simply with presence, with kindness, with noticing who around us may need a warm word or a helping hand. Maybe it's a neighbor we haven't spoken to in a while, a co-worker who seems withdrawn, or even someone online who is quietly reaching out. The heart of community is not about grand gestures. It's about showing up for each other again and again. When we create these pockets of connection, we aren't just helping others, we're helping ourselves navigate the chaos with a little more clarity and peace. Because the truth is, no one walks through the storm alone. Even when we think we're isolated, we are all affected by the same winds. So why not walk together? The warmth of a shared burden is far greater than the chill of facing it alone. In modern life, we've been taught to chase self-sufficiency, to hustle for our dreams, and to stay ahead. While these values have their place, they often leave us disconnected and tired. A peaceful heart in uncertain times doesn't come from having everything under control. It comes from knowing we are not alone. When we share our fears, our joys, and even our confusion with others, we open the door to compassion and mutual healing. Community reminds us of our shared humanity. It gives us a space to breathe, to be seen, and to see others. So instead of asking only, "What can I do to feel better?" we can begin to ask, "Who can I connect with today?" It could be as simple as sending a kind message, inviting someone for tea, or joining a group that aligns with our values. These small steps create ripples of peace in a world that desperately needs calm. And as we build those bridges, we not only support each other through the storm, we begin to shape a society that heals together, one heart at a time. As we reflect on Baba Vanga's final warnings, it's clear they were never meant to simply frighten us, but to awaken us. Whether we believe in prophecy or not, her words challenge us to look deeper, to live more mindfully, and to act with greater awareness as we face the crossroads of 2025. If you found this journey thought-provoking, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming episodes as we continue exploring timeless insights and modern truths. Thank you for watching. Stay awake, stay grounded, and walk forward with wisdom.